So something I've discovered is that when you calculate your gas, from how much you actually pump in and then divide it, you don't always get an accurate measurement. I'm going to tell you why. So people are often quoting numbers when somebody asks, what size tire do you run? How accurate is your speedometer or your mile per gallon? Something I've noticed, at least in the Gladiator, and it can apply for all trucks, is that when you figure out what you've just pumped and what it says on your dash, doesn't always match up. We know that. But when it's inaccurate to 20%, that kind of makes me take notice. So I want to address that. I pumped 11 gallons, almost right at, we'll just estimate 11 gallons. And I drove 178 miles. So when I do the math on that, and divide 11 into 178, 11 goes into 17. I'll do this the wrong way because my calculator's on this video right now. I got leftover 6 there, so that's 1. Bring down the 8, 11 goes into 68. 66 times, I think, by 6. Pretty easy number. 66 will give me a remainder of 2. Bring down my decimal. And then I get like point, we'll just say 16.1. So I've got 11 gallons pumped at the pump. I've got 178 miles on my dash, and that's accurate because I corrected the speedo with a programmer. And I know that for a fact because I've checked it against the GPS on my phone. So I know my mileage is right, my speedometer is correct, but why is my mile per gallon wrong? And the reason I'm addressing this is because a lot of times when we do overlanding or we go off-road, we want to estimate how much we're actually using in gas. And if your vehicle's accurate, that's important to me. A lot of people were worried about steering and issues with how the Jeeps operate with larger tires. Why don't you care as much about the computer? My point is that I think you should care about every inch of your vehicle. If you're really an enthusiast, things are going to matter to you, no matter what they are. So in this case, it's the mile per gallon. So we can do it longhand, and we can figure out we're getting 16.1 miles to the gallon, or you can do it on a phone calculator, whatever. So I'm getting 16, but my dash is saying I'm getting like 19. So I've got, 3 mile per gallon error there, and that figures out to like 15 or so %. I did it a little bit earlier, and so I'm, just kind of ballparking it. With that much error built in, I was wondering why my truck was doing that. Well, with a Tazer Programmer, it's fixing the mile per hour, but it's not fixing the pulse width of your engine's gas out. So you have a gas that you're putting in the truck, and your truck is calculating the gas that's coming out of the tank. You're calculating the gas putting in the tank. So those two numbers, one right there, are going to be different. But if you want a truly accurate mile per gallon on your vehicle, you need to kind of figure out why there's so much percentage of error. And what we find is that the pulse injector width is calculating on vehicles how much gas is being put into the engine. So it's calculating how much gas is coming out of the tank. Whereas when we do this longhand math, we're calculating the gas that's going into the tank. So that one, there's the majority of the error. The second is that when the vehicle uses whatever calculations it uses, it's only as good as the calculation that is put into that system of that computer. So you've heard of the term maybe in math in school, you garbage in, garbage out. That's a computer term I think I've learned somewhere. And if the programming is bad for whatever the injector pulse width is, or however the Jeep is calculating your mileage, then you're going to be wrong there. So your speedo might be on. Why is my speedo on but my mile per gallon's off? The other thing is I noticed that, in particular, when you have a dealer program your Jeep, I had 35s programmed into my computer from the dealer. It's now going to skew the numbers that are the Tazer that I'm using as a programmer are going to put into my Jeep. So now I've got a couple of different programs in there that aren't jiving. Obviously my mile per hour is perfect. you want your speedo to be right. Everybody does speedo correction on tire sizes, but we nonchalantly throw out the idea that our mile per gallon has to be correct. In this instance, we can fix that by going either back to the dealer and having them reprogram the truck back to the stock tire size, or what I've done is I've gone back into Tazer and gone back to the 31-inch tire that the stock programmer programmed to make up for that error, and then I have a 35, which measures out at 34.25 inches. Then the error can be made up. Then my speedo's off. So I'm playing this game. If I want accuracy in mile per gallon, I have to error on the side of Tazer. If I want the mile per hours to be right, then I've got to error on the side of the mile per gallon with the stock program. So I'm sitting here thinking, if I just left the Tazer completely off of it, everything works. But the problem is when I put the Tazer on, I need it on there to run my TPMS, my other functions of the Jeep. So the answer is if you have an incorrect mile per gallon, you have to go back to the dealer and have them program the original dealership program into your computer and take out whatever they did from the factory. So because I purchased my vehicle, I installed my own lift, I went back to the dealer, they free of charge changed my speedometer for me. I didn't ask them to do that, but I'm finding now that it's causing me issues. So that is a little bit on how to fix your mile per gallon, how to correct your speedo, and if you're having a deviance or variance built into your actual mile per gallon, there's probably something wrong with how Tazer is programmed to change your vehicle versus how the dealer does it with their tech tool. Hopefully this video will help you guys out, and we can follow up with that maybe in the future and get all these bugs ironed out. But if you're having some problems with speedo or your mile per gallon and you actually care about those things, then those are the ways you can attack it. Thanks guys for watching, and subscribe, check back in, and I'll keep making cool videos. Thanks.